from wherever you are, and welcome to Let's Play Games. I'm John McFarland, Adult Services Librarian for Nashville Public Libraries, and I hope you'll join me in learning or rediscovering some games with me. Now, last week, we discovered the basics of how to play a one-deck card game. Now, we're going to learn the basics of a two-deck card game. Let's get stuck in. So last week, we went into how to play with one deck. Shuffled it up, went through our suits, just as a reminder. Our little ace through king option. So that's not the only way you can play with a deck of cards, but it requires another deck of cards. So you can play plenty of games with just one deck, but today I'm going to introduce the concept of a two-deck game. Now notice the cards are slightly differently designed, if you don't mind the indulgence, but it is going to be the exact same count as before. And they'll have different size and different backing, but usually, especially if you're stuck inside, sometimes you gotta make do with what you have. So we now are going to have two decks. A little harder to shuffle, a little more effort required. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this up and we're gonna shuffle, and we are going to deal another type of solitaire game. So just as a reminder, go ahead and split them up. This little cut right here, and then slowly, notice it takes a little more effort, and sometimes it'll get jammed like this. But it's kind of a fun jumble. A lot of people, when it comes to two-deck games, will like spreading them around. You know, try and hope and manifest whichever card that you want to have at the top of your deck. Some people actually have favorite cards. Seven of spades. Get all set up. But yes, sometimes it's a fun jumble mess. But if you're at home and you're trying to play solitaire, it usually means that you have a fair amount of time on your hands. So I like to try and make that work however best as possible. So notice how much effort this one takes, and it comes from a learned practice. It just takes me a little longer some days. So what we're going to do now that we've got a mostly set up package is those of you who are familiar with playing solitaire on Microsoft probably saw the spider solitaire and went, "What is that?" Never messed with it. Well, today we're going to learn about it. You're going to need a little bit more space than you needed before. I'm going to go ahead and prepare you for that. So maybe raise it a little further above here, but leave room along the top like we did last time. So what we're going to do is this is going to be, instead of 7 rows, it's going to be 10. And the way that Spider Solitaire is played is the same collection, ace through king, as you had before. Let's see, that's 8. I swear I can count. And notice that, yes, we are dealing with some different cards here, but it'll work just fine. So there are going to be 2 different types of piles here. This set of 6 right here, instead of doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to actually have it pretty even the whole way. So let's do our second row here. It's going to be same collection as before, except this time we're not going to deal with the alternating color combination. We're just looking for the suit to be off as best as possible, and we are looking just to create our little collection piles. So yes, your deck may get a little messy, but I feel like that's half the fun, and cleanup you can have later. So notice these piles of 4 here. What I'm going to do is, from these piles of 4, I'm actually going to go ahead on each of these 6 rows. I'm going to go ahead and put these up. But these last 4, we're going to go and place face down and add ourselves a 5th. And then we'll flip from here. So I will tell you that if you see it on the computer, you probably see it just as one suit, so they'll all be spades. But since we're improvising with our deck and making it work, we make it work like this. So what you're gonna do this time is now count out cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm gonna put this in a pile over here. We're gonna do this again. 2, 3, 4, 5. And again. One more time. And yes, just one more time. So I'm sure you're asking to yourself, why would we do that? Well, instead of having a deck to draw from, we are gonna place these up here. And when you run out of moves and you run out of space, we're gonna use these. So remember how we talked about our stacking rule, kind of blocking from using the bottom cards? It's the same concept here. So what you're gonna do is start working on creating the stacks and piles. Notice we're gonna be able to free up a lot more space quickly. But we still have to deal with the challenge of a lot of cards we need are gonna be in these stacks. So there's no perfect way to deal in. We're gonna make it work. So now that we're all set up, we can begin the game. Now remember, taking this easy just with 2 decks shuffled. We're not gonna worry about suits. We're not gonna worry about colors one way or the other. All we're doing is trying to create that entire matchup, king through ace. So we've got a good starting point here. So we've got a jack over on this side. So we can put that on top of the queen, which means we can go ahead and start flipping. We've got our 5 over here. We'll keep on flipping. The more we can get through, the better it's gonna be for us in the long run, because if it's already cleared out up here, that's pretty much the end of the game. So you try and get as much as you can, and I just usually run through. We got ourselves another jack. We're having a pretty good start before we've even drawn anything. All right, 3. Now we have to make one of our first decisions. We've got this 2. Do we want to put it over on this 3 or this 3? Kind of a little easier to make the decision because in general, since you're looking for just the range, it makes it a whole lot easier to combine everything together. So we're just gonna put it over here for convenience sake. It's not as effectively blocked. So that's our 9. We've got a 10 over here, so let's go ahead for there. So a lot of the initial gameplay you can get out of the way just from the get-go and see how far you get down the rabbit hole. Go over to this king right here. And then we've got this 10. And I was just like moving, setting myself up that direction. So I'll make myself some little niche corners. So there's another 9. And I'm gonna lie, this is probably one of the best starts I have ever had. So it's 10-9. We'll flip over here, another 10. Another king, only so much we can do there. Wait before I grab everything. We'll just keep going down that pattern. Another 6. So this one, yes, looks imposing at first, but it really becomes a whole lot easier to play as you go along. And you can move 9 over to here if you really wanted. Right now, there's no incentive to do so. So let's step back, let's look again. So 3 can't connect to any 4s. We're at a 9 here. We can't, no 8s. Otherwise we'd go right there or right there. No 4s, no 8s, no 2s, no queens, no playable 5s, no playable 9s, no playable queens, and no free space. I kind of was hoping that maybe we could free that space up, but oh well. So now we have gotten to the point where we can't make any more valid moves. So here's that layer of complexity. We're gonna take these 10 cards that we drew first, and what I'm gonna do is play them a little further down to make them a little more obvious. So now you notice there's some of the cards that we kind of need, which is kind of helpful. So now basically kind of consider it trapped a little. This is where sometimes you have to have a little more spatial awareness. So we've got this 4 here, and we've got a 4 here. And what you can do is this king can be playable if you move the 4. This jack through 9, because it's not just the individual one, it's the entire stack. So right now, we got lucky here that an 8 dropped here. So we're already set up to go. But if it had been, for example, switch it real quick, a 7, we would have had to move this to free up this king through 9. So it's actually a fun mental engagement exercise, at least for me, where I can go through and make some decisions. So I have these 2 4s here. Let's make some, I'm gonna free up. So that'll be a 5 and 4 connected. That king is free, which frees up that over here. So we're able to start making some condensing and start pushing back that way eventually. This 8, the 7. So we're already doing pretty well with this process. What's I gonna do with this jack? There was something, I'm gonna go and free up this jack here. So you just wanna make sure you keep the pile after moving that 4. Always gotta keep honest. All right, so there's a 6. There's a 6 right there. I'm gonna move this 5 and 4 together. All right, what's next? So we're gonna put this here because I'm trying to see if I can free this up at all. What is left? There's 7 here, so now I'll flip this queen and move this jack, which frees up the 3, the 2, and the ace. So now we've got king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What you're gonna do is you are going to pile it up and place it over here. And you get to go ahead and flip these, which is kind of nice. So our end object of this game is to go through the process, get ourselves the entirety of the rows. We run out of spaces. We're gonna add these for more cards and more observations. So we've got our 9 here, 3 going onto the 4, another 7, which we can put on 6. Flip this card, another ace, which, okay, that's kind of helpful. We're gonna put that on this king. And I'm really wanting to free up this space here because empty spaces are valuable places to go. But for now, we're gonna do this 8. Start working our way. 8, 7, 6. So now we've got this business right here. Actually, I'm gonna make this a little easier on my soul and make, it's gonna be king through 6, and 5 through 3. So my hope is that I can get a 2 here in a second. That will make this a whole lot easier. This 10 has to go here, but we can flip another. No 5. Well then, we're kind of stuck. So now we're gonna have to do the same process as we did before. King's not being super helpful here. There's a 2. I'm glad for that, because 2 kind of helps. So where are we at now? Well, this one's kind of an easier play. We're looking for that 2, and it just so happened to be on the right spot. So this also frees up more space on the board. We'll do this 8 here, and flip this ace right here, and the more you can pile and get deeper in, the better off you're gonna be. I'm close to getting some free spaces here. I'm trying to get those to happen relatively quickly, because if you get too much of a backlog, it really becomes a difficult process. Where was I gonna use this? That was silly of me. So there's that king, it's there. There's 8. I was gonna use it for over here. So we've got a 9. If I've got a free 10, that would be helpful. Would be nice. Doesn't look like that's gonna happen for us. So we've actually got a free 6 right here, which means we finally have ourselves a little free lane here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, I'm gonna free up a spot, see if we can free something else as well. Go over here. Another ace, which is kind of nice, but only helps us so much. No 3s. There's a 6. There's a 10. There was a 9 somewhere here. Yes, there was, which means we're going over here. What else? Is there anything else we can do? It doesn't look like it, so we're gonna keep going on. And yes, you notice that it does start to take up a significant amount of the table. But for me, that's kind of half the fun sometimes when we can, if you've got a lot of space to use it. So we've got this 8 here, no 9 to connect it to yet. Do I have a 9 anywhere in the vicinity aside from here? Not really, so we need to try and free this up on a jack, which we can. Frees up the king at least. This 7 can go here, which gets this here. I'm gonna trap this in for a second, just so I can get to that 4, free up that king. 8. What's trapped? Do I want to? We're kind of stuck here once again. There's only so much I can do aside from, well, the thing that's staring me right in the face, which will happen way more than you think. So we've got our king. There's another 5. I would like a 9 right now. That would be kind of appreciated, but since we don't have it, we're gonna keep going. So a 5, there's another 8, ouch. 2, more aces, more kings. So you can continue on this process all down the way. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward for a minute, and then you can see to the end of this game. Or if it gets to a conclusion, I may go and reshuffle so you can see how the end of a game occurs. So, 1 second, I'll be right back. So last time I promised you more information about playing cards, but I want to talk about specifically the history of patience games and solitaire. The first reference that we really have of patience games are the Umbraspiel, a book manual of various types of games from Germany in the 18th century. And it describes, loosely translated here, that these games are an exercise in patience and that each of them is dependent on shuffling, each of them is dependent on collecting or taking of cards. So that's the first generalized description we saw, and in future manuscripts we saw those definitions expand, we saw the different types of games expand, but I'll get to more on that in a minute. So I promised you the end of the game. I intend to deliver. So where we're at now is pretty much the end of the game. We've got ourselves 5 of the 8 completed decks that are necessary. This is right after that last deal, so we still have these 10 rows. So this becomes rather easy piece collection management. So we've got these 3 aces stacked. So I always like double checking when I can, just to make sure I haven't missed anything or I don't have some card trapped in between, which does happen on occasion. So that would be 6. There's another ace right there. And almost always the end of the game starts looking rather clean because now all we're having to do is assemble this final deck right here. So at the end, you should have, in total, 8 completed stacks, ace through king. And from here, you can just shuffle, deal it again. But it takes a little bit more time than the traditional Klondike Solitaire, but it's a different kind of way to play and a way to involve yourself with more than one deck, which I think is always kind of fun. So our standard playing card that we're familiar with is it's referred to as the French suited deck. This is pretty standard for us now, but you'd find that throughout time we've seen different types of playing cards and in different kind of variants. If you're familiar with the concept of the tarot deck, which has major and minor arcana, so 4 suits of each individual, sort of like a same deck of 52 card style, but added to it a major grouping of cards. Now, in some of these descriptions of card games, you'd actually find information about cartomancy, or how to tell the future and divinate through cards. What you'd also see are popular tarot games that spread throughout France, Italy, and other Latin countries and is still played today. But more on some other games in a minute. So if you look online, you probably find a myriad of ways in order to create different types of solitaire. You may find probably advertisements for ways to play different things online, but you can actually just create your own. You don't have to really abide by certain rules as long as you follow some core tenets. First of all, it can't just be a simple 52 card pickup. It has to be shuffled or randomized in some way that allows you to, lose on occasion. You can affect the rates, but sometimes you'll see triangle configurations where it's a pyramid. Kind of show you what that looks like real quick. Keep one deck, but we'll show this sort of an example. So I've seen quite a few times where you've got these trapped cards that actually trap more than one. Doesn't make a perfect triangle, so let's do that real quick. So once you have a format for how you want to make your own patience game, I've seen a little triangle variant with some decks on top of here. There's so many different ways to try and play some of these games that as long as you come up with the idea and the format, and as long as it involves a logical rule set, and I am not the arbiter of logic, you make your own patience game. As long as it entertains you and provides you enjoyment, that's what matters. You're probably, if you're around my age or a little bit older, you probably learned how to play this game on a computer. Microsoft included it as a way to not only have some entertainment value on their operating system, they also wanted to use it as a way to teach people how to use the system. If you're familiar with playing Solitaire on Microsoft, you know you have to use the mouse, click, and drag. So it taught the concept as well as entertained people, which is the best kind of education, and I love seeing it. But you now see all of these variants that are typically included on Windows software. So I think it's a nice little teaching concept. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed learning how to take a deck of cards, or more than one deck of cards, and make your own game, as well as know how to play some more. Let us know in the comments what games you might like to see next. You may see them before you know it. Also, check out on our website other NPL Universe programming. I'll see you next time.